John Rothstein at CBS Sports calls Baylor the original renovation. So tonight we're taking a look inside the original Flip House and how a vision few had in 2003 turned into a #1 seed with the potential for new heights. While it is impressive that the Bears' running average per game is more than 100 yards over where it was through 2 games last year, what's most impressive is where they stand. Trailing only Oklahoma in the Big 12 Conference, the Bears also rank 5th nationally, averaging right now more than 300 yards a game, which is ridiculous.
We never can keep track of the numbers.
The biggest challenge my high school coach ever gave us, making a layup. I don't suck.
Chris, we'd heard rumblings last night that the Big 12 and NCAA basketball tournaments were in jeopardy. However, we had not heard anything about spring sports, and as we found out today, neither had Baylor Athletic Director Mack Rhoades, who took a couple minutes to share his reaction and what he sees as being next for the Bears in this 6 Sports exclusive. The guidelines and preferences in the NCAA's announcement are clear. They only want the pay in this coming from third parties. That means in this system, the pay can only be for appearing in commercials and other marketing efforts for other companies, not the university itself. The South region has really cleared up for the Bears if they can get past Wisconsin tomorrow. A lot of the reason why is thanks to 2 former Baylor assistant coaches. New Baylor football coach Dave Aranda says the idea started with the football team, but then it quickly jumped across the Brazos River, and now countless green and gold athletic programs trying to give hope any way they can. You don't see many coaches in the Power 5 level, any sport, quoting children's books. Aranda's approach is one that seems to have related well with the players. As he said today, he's anticipating having his full roster saved for Blake Shapen with no opt-outs and nobody in the portal since the Big 12 championship game. Up next, we'll dive into the game itself. Keep it here. You're watching Countdown to Kickoff Bears in New Orleans. Back to Temple College. They actually own the national scoring record for points in a game in junior college at 173 points in a game. It's not the school record. The school record is 174.
Whoa.
But it did not come against a Division I opponent. So the school record is higher than the national record, but they both live here in Temple. If Baylor plays like that Monday night, it is more than good enough to to win a national championship. In the first half today, guys, Baylor held Houston to less than 27% shooting from the floor while shooting a ridiculous 57 themselves, including 53 from three-point land. And Jared Butler, Baylor's most dynamic player, scored 17 points, a team high. All of it came in the first half, not one single point in the second.
Time to win a game. It's time for the buzzer beater.
They know it's a Hall of Fame. Maybe they're just like looking for some memorabilia. And they walk in here and the center court is so dynamic. The music is loud, the lights, people are going.
Oh, too bad.
It only took 4 tries.
We introduced a lot of you in Central Texas to Nalissa Smith, the high school All-American with McDonald's, Jordan Brand, and countless other awards she racked up at East Central High School in San Antonio before heading to Waco. The true freshman had a stellar performance, was one of 7 Lady Bears players to play in each game in this Final Four, and shined on a national stage tonight against Notre Dame for a national championship. Will London famously took part in the Olympic trials 5 years ago as a college freshman, and although it didn't go well then, this year London is expecting to wind up on a flight across the Pacific to earn his spot in Tokyo. My team is on the court. It's just fitting that in the first regional round in 80 years, both Texas teams still dancing will play inside Hinkle Fieldhouse. Baylor, of course, in the early game against Villanova. The nightcap puts Houston in the Sweet 16. Chris, it's going to be a lot of fun as we get the dance back underway Saturday afternoon. The football program at UMHB is the only one implicated in this 14-page report from the NCAA Committee on Infractions. But those sanctions will wipe out as many as 29 wins from 2016 and 2017. Kickoff tomorrow night, scheduled for 7:45 inside the Caesars Superdome here in the Big Easy. Now, to show you just how good of a game this is expected to be, according to Caesars Sportsbook, which there's one right down the street from us, Ole Miss is just a 1.5-point favorite. So we took the opportunity to make our picks. Let's bring everybody back into the fold. Matt, we took a clean sweep. We all have Baylor plus the points. Why do you have that?
Jalen Hurts has stepped right in.
Yeah, that's the College Football Playoff Committee on the Sooners. This week's opponent for Baylor and what's likely the national game of the week. 9-0 meets 8-1. Number 12 hosts number 9. The Big 12's top scoring offense faces the Big 12's top scoring defense. There are tons of fascinating storylines Saturday night when Baylor faces Oklahoma in Waco. And if you want another tie to that Baylor rebuild, it's Oral Roberts coach Paul Mills, who has his Golden Eagles in the Sweet 16 in the South region as well. He joined Drew's staff when he first got to Waco in 2003. But this year's Baylor team is just one win from its first Elite Eight in 9 years and 2 from its first Final Four in 71. We'll have more coming up in sports. For now, live in Indianapolis, Curtis Quillen, 6 Sports. Baylor rattled off the game's final 21 points to take a 45-27 win over Oklahoma State Saturday. In fact, in the first half, Charlie Brewer was sacked 4 times. And if you want to see where the adjustments came in the second half, Brewer didn't take a single sack on the way to the win.
I'm 6'4", I should have no problem with this. Seven foot tall.
There's a lot of guys, man, in here that do never, ever get visits from family members. You know, they get time and people forget about them.
Surrounded by razor wire with watchtowers looking down, a maximum security prison is likely the last place you'd expect God and basketball to collide. The Chapel of Hope, like everywhere else at the Alfred D. Hughes unit, makes it hard to forget where you are. But on a summertime Saturday, it's providing hope to some in for years to come.
25 years.
And others.
Because some people don't have a parole date. Some people are never going home.
They bound together, they're enthusiastic, they're encouraging each other for the right reason, which is to grow, to become better men. Whether they're here for another year or 20 or 50.
Terry McDonald has been volunteering at the Hughes unit for about 10 years, working on spreading Christianity with those trying to reform. That includes Jay Van Howard, who was 11 years into a 25-year sentence for aggravated sexual assault.
It's more about trying to show like people like my son and, you know, give my mother and my father a chance to see me for who they have expectations for me to be.
Through the game of basketball and through the belief in Christ that you can do good. You can do good things in this world, and there's a lot of good. And these men have, you know, they've made some choices. They're in here for a reason, but they aren't giving up, and they want to be productive.
With the national anthem to start, inmates gathered in prayer and in support, while this team of what they're calling Free World Pros is shooting to inspire change and be a symbol of hope. But for Brad Buckman, a retired pro, it's that hope he took back home to Austin that brought him back this year.
He just broke down crying and he said, these guys are walking up and saying what a privilege it is for me to be there, but what they didn't realize is this was one of the greatest gifts he'd ever been given in his entire life.
And I've seen a change in a lot of their lives.
The inmates have beat the pros both times they've played, but win or lose, say they've received a gift like no other.
And this basketball tournament is something that we need in order to really just show people how to constructively do your time.
Leaving hope in a place which doesn't seem much. One shot.
If you actually sit around and do something about, you know, trying to change yourself as well as others
at a time,
you'll get more out of it.
On the final night of the regular season, this game means so much more.
Love the game. I always wanted to be a coach.
A cold, gray-skied February Tuesday in Bartlett.
8 minutes.
It's a farewell 50 years in the making.
I joined the Temple chapter in 1969, and I was the assignment secretary 30 years.
If you've been to a gym in the Temple Belton area in the past 50 years,
got a foul.
You've probably seen Billy Crow.
2, white, with a block, inbound.
But on this night, Crow is calling his final game at his alma mater. The 1962 graduate of Bartlett High School fights through the emotions to call this one final high school basketball game.
Got you in there, 3, this way. I believe that it made me a better person. I believe it made me more of an outgoing person, a friendly person, one that I wanted to try to keep myself in.
Basketball was Crow's first love. Something not even 48 years of officiating high school football could take away.
White coat, 60.
And on this night, one so many will remember forever, thanks to gifts from both coaches.
When the Calvary guy come up, that really hit, that hit Curtis, I'm gonna tell you.
We had all my guys sign the ball for him, kind of put the date on it, and we put 50 years on there.
He got to share it.
Hey, Patrick!
With two important people. His wife, Pam, was his biggest supporter.
49 years from now, you'll be doing the same thing.
But on the court, his grandson, Patrick, is calling his first regular season varsity game on the final night of his first high school season.
He wanted me to follow in his footsteps, so I did. And come to find out, I enjoy it. I have a blast doing it.
I love the game of basketball. I love the game of basketball. And officiating, when I got into it, I knew that was something that I was going to do as long as I could do it.
And after 50 years, Crow says he can't do it to his standards anymore, but he'll still be around. After all, he still has a grandson to mentor and show the ropes, even if the lights have gone out on Billy's time with the whistle. Curtis Quillen, 6 Sports.
The date was March 7th, 2020. The Baylor Bears went into WVU Coliseum needing a win to stay in the hunt for their first Big 12 title before a 12-point loss sealed it for Kansas. Fast forward to today, 361 days later. Baylor enters WVU Coliseum 1 win from clinching its first Big 12 title. It would be the first conference title for the program since 1950 as the Bears and Mountaineers face off this afternoon. First half, Maceo Teague outside for Jared Butler, makes a move, crossover, step back 3, bang! Bears go on an early 8-0 run. Then just before the half, it's Butler in the corner, long 2, he's got it. Bears up 3 at the break, and Baylor starting to look like its old self, but second half, Mountaineers not going away. Sean McNeil gives West Virginia its first lead on this 3, part of a 10-0 West Virginia run. Final seconds of regulation. Butler drives through the contact, off the glass. We've got overtime in Morgantown in the bonus period. Butler again, 3-ball, corner pocket, bang, he finishes with 25. Final minute, Davion Mitchell does it himself to the rim, off the glass, and for the first time since 1950, the Baylor Bears are conference champions.
We've had a lot of great players that have worked toward this. We finished second several times, and everyone's contributed with the fans and staff and players to get to this point. But more proud of our players.
Now it's a short wait for the next game. Baylor returns home to close the regular season with a pair of games. First, Oklahoma State and the top prospect in this year's NBA draft come to town Thursday. Last night, the Lady Bears clinched the outright Big 12 Conference Championship with a win down at Texas. The star of the show, though, was NaLyssa Smith, who led all scorers with 23 points. Smith even shot a perfect 2 for 2 from three-point land last night. And after the game, Kim Mulkey says she told Smith to not worry about creating one-on-ones against Charlie Collier, the Texas star. But if you hear it from NaLyssa, that really just speaks to the Lady Bears' style.
You can see everybody's game growing. You can see everybody playing with a lot more confidence now. I just see us keep going, getting better and better. We focus on defense in practice. We're a defensive team, so that's kind of what we focus on. So, I mean, we've gone through it in practice. We played them before, so we kind of knew what to expect.
Next up for the Lady Bears is a trip to Kansas. This one is a 4 p.m. tip Saturday in Lawrence. As the high school basketball playoffs continue, the La Vega girls are on to the Elite Eight in 4A. But to get to the state semifinals, the Lady Pirates would be in for their toughest test this season against the top team in the state, La Vega, facing #1 Hardin Jefferson tonight in Crockett. We start in the first quarter. Hardin Jefferson turns to its Duke commit. Ashlyn Jackson spots up 3-ball. She's got it, and the Lady Hawks are rolling early. Still in the first, watch this. Mimi Willis gets the answer for La Vega. 3-ball from way downtown. She's connecting. Then skip to the second half, and it's Kendall Sneed. Crossover, nails the floater for the Lady Hawks to build on their lead. Later on, Willis again, same spot, further out. That gets the Lady Pirates within 1, but that would be it. La Vega's season ends tonight in the Elite Eight, 68-61. Tonight at Robinson Memorial Christian Academy from Killeen, taking on St. Paul to advance to the TCAF state championship game. Start of the third, Jeremiah Smith drives from the perimeter into the paint, through the contact. Hoop in the harm, Warriors trail by 1. Then Cade Mason, top of the key for the Lions, drives, hits the acrobatic shot off the glass. That puts St. Paul up by 2. Warriors ball now. Caden Clark hits Smith, and then 3 ball from downtown, drains it. Memorial Christian takes the lead and wins this one 60-50, and the Warriors will play in the state title game Saturday. A couple other high school games tonight. The Connolly boys season comes to an end in tonight's regional semifinal against Silsbee out in Madisonville, and the Bishop Riker boys at home tonight knock off Beaumont Legacy Christian to move on to the quarterfinals in TAPS 3A. Baseball, Baylor in its home opener tonight against Sam Houston State, 6th inning. Andy Thomas absolutely demolishes one to straightaway center field over the batter's eye. That's a vapor trail that you saw behind it. 2-run shot. Baylor's on the board. Then to the 8th inning, Trey Richardson says, "My turn," hits one into soccer practice over the left field fence at Betty Lou. Yeah, solo shot. It's 4-zip. That's your final. Bears host Memphis this weekend. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.